Hi everyone, Sampath here, and I have Sorin from Omniconvert. He's the head of onboarding with us today. Hey Sorin.
Hi guys. Hi Sampath.
Hey, good to have you for the webinar today. Can we get a hi from everyone who is here already and are listening to us? Just say hi and let us know which part of the world you are from. Because we are just curious, it's 9:30 in evening in India, and it's around like 5 p.m. for you, Sorin?
6 p.m. Sampath.
Okay. Hey Melody. Hey Sarah.
Hi there.
Thanks for the hi. Okay, you are from Canada. Nice. Hey Vijay. So everyone who raises their hand or who says hi, please make sure to mention which part of the world you are from. We are just curious.
Exactly.
And okay, hey Joe. Okay, even claps. We just need to know which part of the world you are from.
Yeah.
So Sorin is with Omniconvert for like good more than 2.5 years now, and he has onboarded pretty big brands himself. And we cannot ask for a better person to onboard such a vast and robust tool for all the for the entire SaaS Mentor family.
Thank you, Sampath.
Yeah. So I have invited Sorin to give us like complete walkthrough, not just about the walkthrough, but there are literally like thousands of features that we unable to we within our given time. We are like super busy to explore ourselves. There are so many ways that we can skyrocket our conversion rates, but we may not even do it properly. So with a particular an expert who would help us to onboard the tool, who would help us to set up proper experiments, that will help us to boost our conversion rates. That's exactly where Sorin comes in today. So once again, thank you for making time, Sorin. So
thank you for having me today.
Sure. So before we begin with the walkthrough, I just would like to know a few words about how long you have been with Omniconvert and just a couple of big brands that you have personally onboarded and how they have been growing since they started moving to Omniconvert. Just a few words.
Well, as you guys already know, probably from your own research, Omniconvert is an all-in-all conversion rate optimization tool that is trying to get all the features that today's marketers are in need of doing their work simply and without too much involvement from a developer side. But keeping in mind that important growth for websites are mainly with the help of a developer. So we have both worlds combined into our tool. We have clients from all over the world, some great websites or businesses, as you can call them. It will be like Samsung, OLX, which is an huge ad company. We have Avon, like fashion. We have telecom, like the communication industries. We have Livraria Cultura from Brazil. We have WordStream, which is mainly the number one Google AdWords services in the States, and so on. These are just a few names that we are working with, and we also have many other customers onboarded, which are in the mid-level, like just growing up. And we try to provide in our tool. We try to provide all the tools necessary for every stage of your business as you are growing.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm sure having looked at all the brands that is using Omniconvert, I'm sure nearly 90% of us are given 95% of us must be using one of those brands. If you take me for an example, I use Samsung and I use WordStream as well. So I'm sure most of us are using the tools who are using Omniconvert. So which is great, which is a great start. So thank you for sharing that about that. So let's get into walkthrough. I don't want to take I don't want to make all the people to wait. So we are all super curious. I mean, I have been using the tool, but still there are so many features I myself have not explored very much. So and I was waiting for this webinar so that I can learn along with everyone.
Indeed, there are some hidden gems within our tool, and I'm going to share them with you. It is very flexible, but at first sight, it seems a bit overwhelming, or maybe there are missing connections between how to use all the features at once, or how you can connect the features between them to create a more advanced experiment and so on. And this is why we're here to let you know how exactly and how flexible our tool is, and how exactly you can use it to grow your conversions.
Perfect.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen with you now.
Sure.
And
I'm gonna be in the background, just gonna turn off my cam and go mute. That's for a while. Yeah, I'll be in the background watching us, watching everything that you have been sharing. And guys and girls, whoever is here, please keep dropping your questions. There will be like stop sessions. There will be like passes after every feature that Sorin walks us through, so we can address all the questions regarding that feature or any use cases that are relevant to those features. We will be addressing that, and then we will go through the next feature. So we'll be doing like in phases. So keep your questions coming in. We'll get them answered today.
Exactly.
Okay, let's begin.
So as you guys are entering the tool, the first thing that you will notice will be the dashboard. At start, your dashboard will be not populated with any data, because basically you have no running experiments. But once you start experimenting, you will see how the data is gathered. And here are some charts, and I'm going to explain it to you step by step exactly what it means. Some of them are pretty self-explanatory, but others are more important. So at first, on the left side, we have the website overview. In here, there's a pie chart that tells you what's your true testing potential. Basically, once you install the tracking code on your website, we just registered the amount of page views that your users are generating. And we are showing you this besides the amount of tested views. So how much of that particular traffic you've tested so far. This lets you know exactly what is your true potential and how much you can go with testing, like multiple tests at one time, and using more features in the same time to gather valuable data and validate your own hypothesis or ideas, so you could generate a constant growth over time. Next, we have the revenue per visitor chart, where it gives you, once you install the sale goal, basically with the platform, you have the possibility to set up a sale goal, which is added on the thank you page of your e-commerce store, if you have an e-commerce store. If you are not oriented towards selling products and you are more oriented towards lead generation, I'm sure that every business has its own value for a lead, so you can add the value of a lead in that particular sales goal. And the value added in that sales goal will be sent to each experiment individually, and all together that information is gathered and showed in this particular chart, which tells you exactly how much your all your experimentation so far has increased the revenue per visitor versus what the normal website is doing. This is just some. This is the local testing environment for my account. So in here there are some dummy data that shows you that all the experiments ran so far haven't generated more revenue than the initial version of the website. This meaning that basically at the end, testing saved the business a lot of money that could have been lost by implementing ideas without testing. On the right side, we have the uplift in again in revenue per visitor, in conversion rate, and in total revenue and weighted revenue, which is for all variations versus control, which is unaltered version of your website. Below we have an all-time activity chart, what tells you all the active experiments, or the number of posts, expired, and in total. And next we have the latest experiments that you've ran so far with some data, and a direct link towards reporting page for each experiment, and the edit button. And the top 5 experiments would be shown here, which will be the most valuable experiments, or the top 5 winning experiments that you have ran so far. You have the possibility to select and filter your period from here. And basically this is like a business dashboard that you can look from time to time to see exactly how all your experiments are doing based on a main goal, which should be the sale goal, or the value added for lead that was gathered. On the left side is the menu, probably it's self-explanatory. On the top bar we have the account menu, which is here from the website. You can select a tracking code page where you will find the tracking code to install onto your website. You can edit the website, and with the type website URL from here you can set up a logo which will be saved in the database and used in the reports, inserted into the PDF reports for each individual experiment. Here also you can select if you want to send Google some analytics data like events from your experiments, and also can select the statistical relevance algorithm. One thing that we are the only ones in the market which offer both frequentist and Bayesian statistical relevance algorithm in the same time, and individually and in the same time. Basically, all other A/B testing tools normally they either go with frequentist or Bayesian. We are doing this because we found out that in different stages of running an experiment, these two algorithms show a bit the data a bit different. So we wanted to give this option for all our customers. We've tested it internally and found out that the best and the most important value added for you as an end user would be to show them both. So in here you can select which one you'd like, or show them both in your reporting page of your experiments. Next we have the GDPR settings. In here you have the possibility to set up the GDPR for the EU clients if you have. If not, you can leave it as disabled. If you are targeting customers from EU, then you should enable this feature, and you have two possibilities: either use our own pop-up to gather the consent, to get the consent from your end users, or you can use your own third-party tool and just use the code from here to send to us the consent of the user. Otherwise, the main tracking code won't be loaded, so the experiments won't be shown to your users if they don't give the consent, and if that consent is not sent to us. If you encounter any issues regarding, or have further questions regarding this feature and how to use it, you can always contact us via the chat bubble on the right side, which will appear for all accounts once you will use the coupon that you bought, or via support@omniconvert.com. Next, we have some API credentials that you can use if you want in-depth connection with our tool, or to get or send some data. We have the integration page. here we have all the integrations under one window, under one page, but you will also see them under each feature where they are used. Here we have possibility for what's most important from here is the possibility to integrate with Google Analytics directly through our servers. So instead of, in case you see some discrepancies in the future between some big discrepancies between what is the amount of tested views you've used so far and the number of events that are sent into Google Analytics, it means that some of your users are coming from areas around the globe where the network is not so fast. So basically, the browser didn't have time to send the event to Google Analytics. This is why we've developed this second option, where you can enter your tracking ID, your Google tracking ID. And basically what we're doing, we are, once a view is generated onto an experiment, we are gathering it and sending it directly to Google Analytics, bypassing the browser. Thus, the speed of the network won't influence any data. In here, you have the possibility to delete your website and also choose between websites. As you already found out, this once-in-a-lifetime deal gives you the possibility to add as many websites as you'd like, also as many sub-accounts as you like. Here on the support center, we have a direct link towards our knowledge base onto the experiment debugger and the OmniTool extension. I will leave these two important add-ons of our tool at the end after we pass through the features and explain to you how to use them. As relevant data from the features will create a bigger picture and help you better understand what exactly are they doing. And here we have some account settings, like where to create sub-account, your billing page with the total amount of tested views and where the time when the account is reset, and some account settings. Probably this is clear. So now I will take a short look to see if you guys have any questions.
Yes, we do have like a few questions. So let me read them through. Could you please go back to the dashboard?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just waiting for the load. Yes. In the uplift section, it says revenue per visitor, right?
Yes.
So Tanner has a question. Does that number refer to a currency, or what exactly does numbers mean?
Yes, this is the currency. The currency can be set from here, edit website. Sorry for that. I can put USD and save it. This will appear as USD into your statistics, and here also.
Perfect.
Yeah. So basically, from the total amount of orders, basically we take the total amount of orders, the total value of all the orders that were generated using experiments with the Omniconvert, and divide that by the total amount of unique visitors that you had.
Understood. So Tanner has another interesting follow-up question. If you are running an international e-commerce store, what's your recommendation on how to use Omniconvert currency?
Basically, use your own currency. So the currency of your own country, because even if you are running an international e-commerce store, I think probably that you have only one or maybe two accounts, bank accounts in your own currency. So if I'm paying in Romanian lei, that will be transformed into USD if I'm buying from the States, or pounds if I'm buying from UK. either way. So the best way would be to keep it into your own country currency. This will help you very much with statistics and looking at data exactly as you have it in your e-commerce dashboard.
Yeah, that's a nice suggestion. Tanner, regardless of which currency you are getting, okay, is that because Omniconvert connects to bank accounts? Well, Tanner, the point here is, regardless of the amount of the volume of sales you bring in, at the end of the day, it's going to convert into your local currency anyway. Okay. So Tanner has has an interesting suggestion there, because does Omniconvert directly connect with the bank account, or it doesn't?
No, we don't have any connection with the bank account. This is strictly data that is gathered from the experiments that you are running. We have no connection, like knowing exactly how much money you are making from selling goods onto your e-commerce store.
Got you.
Basically, if you are not setting up the sales goal onto your thank you page to gather data for the orders that people are doing, you won't see anything in here. So it's basically related. This sale goal, it's very similar with an event. So once the end user reaches the thank you page, this particular sale goal is triggered and sends the data as a cart amount. The total cart amount sends that data to us. For that, we need a bit of implementation for that, for your thank you page.
Got you. Okay. So Tanner is going to make that as a feature suggestion. So yeah, Tanner, just drop an email to support at Omniconvert, and they should be looking at your feature request. So going to the next question, the dashboard that we just saw, is that customizable? Say I want to say I'm not running an e-commerce store and I don't bother about the currency, whereas I want to see how many leads I managed to generate across running 10 surveys or 25 overlays. So would that be doable? I just want to take a look at those stats only. Would that dashboard be customizable?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, not necessarily you can change the data, because the main purpose is towards generating more revenue. And what we recommend to do is, like, if you're generating leads and this is your main purpose and not selling goods, basically one lead is generating a small amount of revenue for you also, because you are doing something with those leads. I mean, you are not just gathering leads, how to say, to just have it there in your database. You are gathering leads with the purpose of generating revenue from them. So, for example, if you are, at some point we had a customer called Injury Claim Coach, which basically what he was doing, he was generating leads from people who were injured and was selling them, just giving them for a certain amount of money to dedicated lawyers in the States that could have connect with those leads and help them sue the person who was responsible for their accident.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So basically, he was just generating leads from people who didn't benefit from insurance or whatever happened, like for their accident, and connect them with a lawyer. And for that, basically, he was, for each important lead, he was receiving a certain amount of money. So basically, each lead had a value. So what he did was, on the thank you page, the value per lead overall for him was around $5 per lead.
Got it. Okay.
So in the sales goal, he added the value, instead of just putting in the variable amount of a cart like in an e-commerce store. He just added the number 5. And by doing that, he was able here to see exactly how much money from those leads he generated with certain experiments like A/B tests or on-exit overlays and so on. Makes sense?
Yeah, totally. Thank you. Thanks for the explanation.
Eventually, everything is related to money, so this is why. Indeed, you can see the amount of leads that you've generated individually on each experiment. And yeah, that is visible. But here is the business overview. Basically, on this dashboard, you have the business overview to see exactly how your business has been improved, and everything is related to the amount of money that you've generated.
Gotcha. Okay. So moving on to the next question. Okay, I think I missed somewhere in the middle. Okay, so when I input my website information, Omniconvert asks me to suggest a category, right? So if I input my category, is there any way that you can make Omniconvert to suggest me the kind of experiments I should be running? Because based on the way I looked into it, I don't see an option for that. But would that be doable at some point? Say if I'm going to choose e-commerce, Omniconvert can tell me that I should be running this kind of surveys and this kind of exit pop-ups and this kind of A/B testing. So
yeah, I understand. Yeah, this is something that we're thinking about for e-commerce store to identify, like in the future, to identify and provide a dedicated funnel for e-commerce stores in which they can connect their website with that particular funnel, and we could check like certain KPIs and provide indications where is the most important point to start experimenting, like a drop-off rate between the top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel, like from home page to the category page or from category page to the product page. That's something that we are already thinking about and
perfect.
Working on to develop like an MVP. Also, we have this conversion vault where we're trying to provide valuable experiment ideas from different specialists from this industry. And also on our blog, we have the case studies are very good ideas to test. And also on our blog, we have articles with ideas onto exactly what to test. But basically, based on the business that you're having, the best way is to identify who is your customers and what are his problems. So, in my point of view, a survey and A/B testing best practices is the way to start the day with Omniconvert.
Understood. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Great. And someone wants to ask, is there a way that I can preview the survey before installing the code on my live site?
Yes, sure. I will get there too. Yeah, it is. You also have a live preview window within the survey, and you can also do it like in a tab, in a browser tab. And the most important way to do it, which avoids all discrepancies, will be to eventually just use a segmentation with your own IP address. This means that only you will be able to see it, and go live and test it to see exactly how the end user is seeing it and adjust it accordingly if it needs adjustments.
Perfect. And Sarah and the other person, he or she has not mentioned their name, so wanted that there is a bunch of tutorials on their official YouTube channel. I just dropped the link in the chat, so please follow that for video tutorials. And Alex has a question. Could you please go back to the dashboard?
Sure.
So on the left-hand side in the menu, there is an option called CRM and audience check, but we don't see that in our dashboard.
This is only for internal purposes. Like from the CRM, we have access to you guys your accounts where we can start the debugging process and identify any issues that you're having. And also the audience check is something, and direct link, audience check and direct link. These are features only for admins of the tool. This is for us only.
Got you. So Alex, there we have our answer. Obviously, they cannot give access to their CRM, so which is very evident. Thank you for answering that one. So so is there a WordPress plugin that we can download and use for our WordPress websites?
At the moment, the WordPress plugin is being updated by my colleagues from development.
Okay.
But what I can do for you is just send or redirect you guys towards our knowledge base. And I'll set the link here. Just 1 second.
Okay, perfect.
In there, we have an article that guides you exactly step by step on how to install the tracking code manually in your WordPress. It takes you maximum 2 minutes to do it, and it's very simple. It's with pictures also to be.
Right. Yeah, that should help. Yeah, that should help. So, Wanderer, hope that helps. Okay, I don't see I have left any question. Let's move on to the next set of features.
Yes, Alex, also for Google Tag Manager, we have an article on how to implement the tracking code through Google Tag Manager. Yes, you can create your own overlay template. We'll reach that point also.
Yes, you can do that. Are the view counts only counted per experiment or total page views?
Which view? From the dashboard?
Yes, I mean, the deal comes with 100,000 to 500,000 page views per month. So how does the view gets counted? Is that counted per experiment or overall page views? Tana, that's overall page views. Overall tested views, actually. It's not overall page
no,
views.
It's so basically the amount of page views per month is the amount of tested views per month is the amount the users have been included into one of your experiments. So it's not the amount of page views generated by your users on your website. So if you are creating an experiment right now and you're setting it live only on your homepage, basically all the users that are reaching your homepage will generate a tested view, and that tested view will be counted as from your monthly quota. If they move onto the product checkout and so on, and there is no experiment there, we won't count that. So only the tested views.
Gotcha. Perfect. And let's move on to the next question. Yeah, so Alex has another question. Say I'm purchasing the deal on the last day. Say there is only final 25 or 50 coupons left, and that is when I'm purchasing the deal, which means I won't have enough time to play with the tool and then go for the add-ons. So is there any way that you can extend the last day to purchase the add-ons? Would that be doable? So Alex, like I said, we probably have to discuss that after this webinar, but I'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah, indeed. We will think about it and see exactly. This is why the offer runs, this lifetime deal runs for a couple of weeks. So if you start now, I think you have more than enough time to play with the tool and see if it meets your needs, and also understand more. Ask us questions. We will. Our support team is available, and we will answer you as fast as possible.
Got you.
Let's continue, as we have a couple of more features.
Okay, sure.
We haven't even started, so we'll continue with the questions after the next feature, after the next couple of features, which is A/B testing and personalization. As the two of them are very similar in reality, there's a big difference though towards personalization. That's a hidden gem, which I want to show you. But first, let's start with A/B testing. So on the A/B testing category, here you'll have all your experiments, active, paused, or expired. You have filters on the top bar here, and also a search bar to search for your experiments. sorry guys. In here you have a bit of details regarding your experiment, like title, the ID. This is where you'll find your experiment ID. When we will ask for it, in case you have issues with some of the experiments, we will ask for your experiment ID. This is the simplest way for us to, and fastest way for us to identify the experiment that you're referring to, and we can debug it and give you the solution faster. Segmentation name and a bit of information regarding how many users, views, what is the main goal of your experiment, the conversion rate, revenue, and average goal value. These are some simple some minor results, just as an overview to see exactly at a glance of an eye how your experiments are doing. For further details regarding the reporting of an experiment, you can either click on the name of the experiment or go and use this reports button here, which will land you onto the proper experiment reporting page. We have some options here. As you can see, you can pause, edit, reset, delete, pretty self-explanatory onto what they are doing. The filters, we have some details regarding your experiments here, like device type that you've chosen, traffic allocation, how it is said, segment, and included pages, so like basically your audience. We have a timeline here for the KPIs, and you can use the filters to play with it. And below we have the performance of the experiment. Here you'll see the control and all the variations that you've generated within your experiment. These are some goals that we've set up for this particular experiment. We have here basically the amount of users. Again, as I've mentioned, this is dummy data. So sorry about 0.4 here. Normally on your website, on your account, this won't be visible. This is just something that I've generated for you to see exactly how it will look in real life with data in the reporting page. So we have the users. Here are the number of unique users that enter this particular experiment and the total amount of views that they've generated. Basically, a user is unique. A view is the total amount of times one particular unique user has entered into this experiment. Next, we have the goal names. The three main goals that are added by default onto an experiment are bounce rate, engagement, and sale. The sale goal is the one that I've told you about. It's a small script that you need to install onto your thank you page. The script resides here under tracking code settings, and I'm going into this page to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the tracking code, the main tracking code that you need to install in the header of your website. You can also use the asynchronous part to install it into tag managers like Google Tag Managers or Adobe Tag Manager. Here you have a button in case of to enable and disable in case you see a discrepancy in your website from an experiment that didn't apply the modifications accordingly. We recommend you to stop the experiment, but in case you want to block the tracking code, instead of going and taking it out from your files, you just disable it from here, and the connection between the platform and the tracking code is cut off. So the tracking will be stopped, or any experiments will not show. Basically the platform won't have any influence on your website whatsoever until you will identify, you or us with our help also, identify the issue and fix it. This is like a force major button right here. Now, there are some steps on how to install the tracking code, and here we have the sale goal, which must be installed into your thank you page, onto your server. And what I was telling about is the value. This particular part here must be changed with the JavaScript variable that shows you the total cart amount, the total order amount. And in case you want to track your transactions to see exactly which transaction was influenced by what experiment, like what A/B test, you can replace this one with the transaction ID in your thank you page. Now going back to the reporting onto the A/B testing. So we have bounce rate, engagement, and sale. And here we set up like a click goal from within the A/B test to register some conversions. Now we have the conversion rate percentage. We have the amount of conversions for each goal. Revenue. The revenue basically will be generated only for the sale goal and not for the other ones. We have uplift or downlift in percentage between. So here it shows us that the bounce rate on the variation 1, it's been lower. It's been lower than the bounce rate on the control. Sorry, it is higher. It is higher than the bounce rate on the control, which means that more people are bouncing after seeing this particular variation. But the good thing is that on a sale, taking into consideration the sale goal, this particular variation has increased the amount of conversions, the percentage of conversions with 36% more. So we have 695 conversions, then 512 conversions on the control. Next, we have the revenue per visitor, average goal value, and the chance to win. Here we have the frequentist algorithm that we are using. Basically, this algorithm shows you when an experiment reaches maturity, if he has a good chance to influence on long term your users to buy more from you, basically, or to do the action that you want them to do as a goal. So for example, here we have 100% chance to win rate, which means that for sure this particular variation on long term will generate, if it will be implemented into your website directly, will generate more revenue than the control that you're having right now. Next, we have the part where you can generate a report, like a PDF report. And you can also, in here, you'll see the modifications that have been made onto this experiment and what has been modified. And also you can leave notes for your co-workers or for yourself, so you could better understand what have you done in the future. Okay, so this is basically the reporting part. Going back to the category of the A/B testing, we will create a new A/B test from here. You can give an experiment, give it a title, enter the link of the page that you want to apply the A/B test on, and enter a hypothesis. For example, changing the main call to action on this page will improve the conversion rate with 5% or something like that. Maybe it's an idea that appeared in your mind once you've looked into your analytics and discovered some discrepancies on the homepage, and doing some calculations, you found out that maybe if you will change a copy, people will be more engaged and they will click more and eventually buy more. Once you click on the create experiment, you'll see our editor. The first part is the control. In order to start your modification, you need to add a new variation. Before doing so, here we have some toggle views, so you can adjust your window to be available for like a phone. So if you want to create an A/B test only for your mobile users and see exactly how they see your website and modify it, you can toggle the view on phone and just start modifying your elements, or tablet also. We'll go with, sorry, I'm moving too fast. We will go with desktop now. as it is easier for you guys to see my screen. Here you will see some breadcrumbs. Basically, these are the 4 steps in A/B testing that you need to pass through in order to create an experiment. Now that we've created the variation, every element that can be modified is highlighted with this blue border box. And for example, we can change the copy on the main page. Once you click on the element, you will see the type of the element right here, and you have multiple options to do so, to modify it. Like you can change the HTML code, you can change the text, the CSS style. Sorry guys. You can insert content before or after. You can set up on-click actions, like for example, on certain elements, you can select to track clicks as an on-page goal, or you can on-click trigger to display an overlay like a pop-up or display a survey. You can move the elements, rearrange them. Sorry guys. Resize an element, hide an element, or remove it, or you can even select like the bigger parent. Let's go with change the text. For example, understand your buyers and optimize your conversion rate at the same time. Let's say this is the call to action that I want to use from now on. For example, if I want to change the color of the text, I can easily do so. Going here, font color. I want to make it a bit red. Save it, and now it's red. It looks ugly, so I just want to undo it and leave it white. Now, every modification that you make here with the WYSIWYG editor will appear under variation code. This is for advanced users only. Basically, if you know how to code or you have a savvy developer near you that can help you with writing code, this is the window where every developer can work easily to apply modifications. Instead of using the WYSIWYG editor, he can easily use jQuery and JavaScript in here to manipulate the elements on the page and to modify them accordingly. Also manipulate elements that are not on this page, maybe they are on the website, like triggering certain variables and so on. This is the window where it can be done. Also, each modification done in the WYSIWYG editor will appear here, starting with $. So in case you just want to delete like a certain modification, you can see what was it, and easily just, I'm going to copy it first, just delete it from here. Yeah. So if you delete it from here and save it, it goes back to how it was in the first place. Okay, under variation, besides using the code window for jQuery and JavaScript, we have the style CSS window where you can adjust the CSS with coding onto the page directly. This is also for developers. As I told you in the first place, our tool is very flexible, so it is targeting both worlds, like developer world and marketer world. Here we have a powerful feature that is not so obvious. It's the redirect to URL. Basically, using this particular option, you can use a split URL experiment. For example, if you want to modify a lot of elements on your homepage, taking into consideration that we are a third-party tool which manipulates the code onto your page, we recommend you to keep it simple. not necessarily because issues will appear, but the loading time will be longer once you add more and more and more modifications. And for example, if you want to redesign an entire homepage, instead of doing it through Omniconvert, you just simply create it as a standalone page and use our redirect to a new page redirect URL feature to create a split URL between the current homepage and the new version. So for example, just enter the link towards the version 2 of your homepage and set it up here. So this is the way to create a split URL test between the two versions of your homepage. Okay. Next, you can clone, rename, and delete. This is pretty self-explanatory what these options do. You can also modify the title of the A/B test from here. Now we can go to the next step, which is the audience. In here, you have the possibility to insert the conditions for your audience, meaning the pages where you want your experiment to run. Here we have some conditions that you can use. And here is a value box where you enter the link of the page you want to target. For example, in our case, because we are targeting and we want this experiment to run only on the homepage, we will leave it like that. But in case you are an e-commerce store and you want to target the product pages of a certain category, then you can easily start, you can easily use the condition URL contains. And for example, just enter the name of the category like this. If your product links are not directly connected to your homepage, and they have in their link they have the category and subcategory name also. If they are directly connected to your homepage, then you can easily use the regular expression condition from here. Below, you have also the possibility to exclude some URL pages. Like, for example, if you have an experiment that is running on all your pages, on your entire website, but you don't want it to run on the Contact Us page, you can simply use this option here and exclude this particular page. Next, we have the segmentation. So from the segment, you can use, here we have some examples that I have in my account. You can use the already created segments that you have or generate a new segment. In here, we have a bigger story. This is the page where you can create segments and use from our over 40 parameters that our powerful segmentation engine offers. You can set up the name, the available for website. You can set up a description if you like. And using the or and and parameters with rule types like include and exclude, you can select from the over 40 segmentation points, which are including traffic source, geolocation like weather, temperature, country, region, city, conversions like counted goal conversions, the total amount of goal conversions or days since last conversion. These are conversions that people have accomplished in past experiments, like total revenue for a certain visitor, like behavior segmentation points, like new visitor or returning visitor, or if he has seen URLs in current session, landing page in current session. You can also use UTM parameters. These are very valuable. For example, when you are trying to keep the same message for the visitors that are coming from paid ad campaigns. So, for example, if you have this is especially beneficial for personalization. So in case you have people coming from a Facebook campaign, which is telling you 20% discount only today, check it out now. You can use the UTM source contains, for example, Facebook, and so include the UTM source campaign contains 20% discount, for example. These two being UTM parameters that you are using in your Facebook campaign. So doing so, this particular segment applied to an A/B test will filter all your traffic and show the A/B test only to users that are coming from this particular paid campaign. Thus, you can create multiple experiments for all your paid campaigns to deliver dedicated messages and keep the informational flow exactly, and make people feel comfortable that they landed on the proper page according to the message that you've used in your ad campaigns. Besides UTM parameters, you also have the possibility to use custom segmentation points like cookies. So for example, if you want to show a certain pop-up with an offer only for users that have bought more than $200 so far, you have this possibility. Just with the help of a developer, you can set up a cookie for your customers. So above $200, set cookie lifetime value equals 1. So you can select cookie from here, cookie name lifetime value is 1. In this case, don't look at the first segmentation point. I forgot to delete it. So talking only about this condition here. So for cookie lifetime value is 1. This segmentation will filter all the users, all the customers that have bought below $200, and only show the pop-up with the discount or the welcoming message to, hey, premium buyer, or hey, premium customer, thank you for visiting us again. Here is the direct link towards our premium support in case you need any assistance. And in this case, you can make them feel more comfortable and more homey, and they will, for sure, they will continue to buy and be a returning customer. Besides cookies, we have custom attributes. Custom attribute I will show you a bit later, but I will talk to it about now. Basically, there's a small snippet of code that you can implement onto your website, and with it, push relevant data from your database to us that we can read and use it in personalizations, messages on your website, and also in segmentation. For example, you can send the lifetime value, last bought item, total amount of bought items. You can even send the name or the age or gender if you have such things, and you can use these custom attributes to personalize the experience of the user onto your website. You can also use GTM data layer attributes if you have GTM implemented and you send data into data layer attributes. That is also doable as a segmentation by technology. And also you can use and filter and segment by previous answers to previous surveys. Also external data like UPRA, for example, and we are working on a new product which is targeting e-commerce stores, but we'll talk about that probably at the end of the year or next year, if we will manage to launch it and create lifetime deal offer. This is the one that is visible right here. Now, once you've created your segment, you can easily select it, and it's attached to your A/B test. Under advanced settings, you have the limitation options that some of you have asked on Facebook and also on email. Basically, from here, you can set up the total amount of views that once reached, the experiment will be stopped, will be set up on pause. We don't recommend you to do that unless you know exactly what you're doing, because setting up the wrong limitation point can stop your experiment before becoming before reaching maturity. So if not used properly, you can alter your results and go onto a path that is not validated. Next, we have a small fast segmentation point regarding device type. Instead of using the main segmentation point, we've noticed that it's important for the end user to just use it. For example, in case you want to segment all visitors, and it is simpler and more visual, user-friendly from here. And we have an exclusivity button here. Basically, what this does is you can mark an experiment as exclusive. And once a user has landed on an A/B test that is set up as exclusive, he won't be available. He won't be able to see another A/B test as long as this one is active and set up as exclusive. Next, we have the traffic allocation and goals. From here, you can set up the percentage, the percentage of visitors to be included in this particular experiment from the total percentage of visitors that have been segmented already. So at first, the segmentation is applied, and then comes this slider, and afterwards, here is the part where you can set up and allocate the traffic between control and your variations. In here, we have the goals. So these are the three main goals added by default. You can add more goals from here. We have two types of goals, page view goal and custom goal. For the page view goal, you can set up the link of the URL that you wish to have an overview of. So for example, I want to see how many people have landed on my product pages and reached the checkout page. You can easily set up this type of goal, checkout reached, and use it like that. Or you can use URL is or URL contains or regex or whatever. And once you've created this particular goal, you can save it and then simply attach it to your experiment. If a goal is not attached, he will still count some goals, but those goals will not be assigned to any experiment. So keep that in mind. Below, there is a goal timeout. So basically, there are businesses that have a certain time interval in which a purchase is made. So for example, if you are buying a car, for sure you won't just go in and buy the car. At first you do your research, you look onto the website, you set up some settings, some previews, you send some questions, then you think about it a bit more, and then you just go. So the time frame between starting to look at cars and purchasing goes, I don't know, like 2 months, 3 months, or 3 weeks or so. But when you want to go and buy like milk for your baby, for your child, you know for sure what milk you need, and the purchase interval is like a couple of minutes to an hour or so, if you want to do more research at that point. This particular option here, what it does, it sets the goal timeout exactly as it says. Basically, the amount of minutes after which a goal is not assigned for this particular experiment. So for example, if I'm seeing this A/B test now and go and purchase the product in the next 10 hours, then I know for sure that I have been influenced by this experiment. If I'm purchasing the day after tomorrow, then I won't be counted as a conversion for the sale goal, because it's been 3 days. I've seen a lot of websites, and for sure this experiment wasn't the one that influenced me. Next, we have scheduling. You can set up the start and end date of your experiment. So if for campaigns that start in the future, you can set up an experiment to start next week or so. You can select to be notified on your email regarding when an experiment stops. And under advanced settings, you have the possibility to exclude certain days, hour intervals, or a certain time zone. This was basically the A/B test. And I'm gonna move towards personalization now, because these two features are pretty similar, and I just want to present you the differences in personalization and how to use custom variables and attributes to personalize your messages, and then answer your questions. So you create a new personalization, create an experiment. As you can see, it looks basically the same. What we tried to do is to keep the workflow as simple as we could and similar for all the features, so that the learning curve will be easily adopted and passed. The end user would not have any difficulties running experiments or passing from one feature to another. So when you create a new variation onto the personalization and you click on the copy, when you go to edit element, change text, the editor gives you the possibility to use these features here. Like we have the variables, which are custom variables. So you can insert the referrer domain, the temperature in Celsius and Fahrenheit, for example. Understand your buyers and offer them the best suit when there are outside. So basically what happens, this particular custom variable here will be changed with the temperature from the location of the end visitor. How can we do that? It's pretty simple. We are using the database of IP2 location to identify the IP and assign the location to it. And we're also integrated with weather API, which based on the user's IP gives us the temperature forecast for that particular location. So when you do that, it shows the temperature to the end user. And it will look like this in the editor. Don't be afraid. This will change only when you go and test it live. Here we left it like this in order for you to see that in here there's a variable assigned to this particular copy. You can also use a weather condition, like it's rainy, it's sunny, it's cloudy. You can set up the country, region, city, internet service provider, device type, operating system, and so on. Days since first visit. For example, this one is very cool to use with a copy like, "Hey, stranger, haven't seen you around for the best." this is not the best copy for for our website, but I hope you get the picture. This creates a personalized experience for your end user. Yeah, because if I'm returning to a website and you show me, hey stranger, haven't seen you around in for the past 35 days, how can I help you? I'm like, whoa, you really know when I was visiting your website? So it creates a connection between your website and the end user. Days since previous visit and so on. Next, you can use some custom attributes. Custom attributes are the ones that I've told you about, the information that can be pushed towards our tool, like name of the customer, total lifetime value, last purchased item, and so on, which you can use to personalize your user's experience. And here we have on-page variables. I will tell you exactly what it is a bit later. On-page variable, basically we have an editor here under advanced on-page variables. We have an editor in which similar to this one, in which you can upload a page and select an element from that page, a text element from that page, and use that text in your experiments. For example, like using the product title of the product title to be copied in on exit pop-up, saying, hey, are you really not interested in purchasing these brown sandals, brown sandal being the title of the product, with 20% discount, and so on. I will tell you all about it a bit later. So basically, this is the powerful part of personalization, where you can insert custom text and adjust the messages and the way you are talking to your end users. The remaining part is pretty similar. It's the same as A/B testing. So you will see that it will be very easy to set up experiments, personalization, and A/B testing. Any questions so far, guys?
That was like super intense. Thank you so much, Sorin.
It was my pleasure.
Guys, any questions
so far? Should we move further?
There is nothing like that stands out. Can you send us a webinar replay link? As of course, totally. Yeah, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Rob. Yeah, okay, perfect. So carry on.
Okay, I'm gonna continue. We still have a bit to go through.
Raul, I think I have an interesting link that I would like to share with you. Just give me a second while Sorin keeps going. I just want to, yeah, Sorin, you can just keep going. I'll just drop a link for Raul.
Okay, Thampat, thanks. Okay, guys, so the overlay part, as you already noticed, it's very similar with A/B testing, same category with same reporting page for products. It's similar, so once you get used to it, it is very easily to identify everything around and create experiments. At first, we have a template mini store here with a menu on the right side with some filters. Basically, you can select the category of the overlay and the overlay type. And here we have a custom template. Basically, it's a naked template in which you can add your own custom code, like HTMLs from certain emailing providers, newsletter providers. Like if you have some forms to collect leads, you can use this custom template here to add the code of those particular forms. I'm going to select my template right now. In here, you must choose the type of the trigger. You can do it on load, on exit, or on scroll. And this is the editor of the overlay. On the left side, we have the manual options. On the right side, we have the visual editor. In here, you can change the design, like overlay color, which is the background color of the overlay. Yeah. Opacity, you can change background color or image. You can set up an image for the particular overlay. This particular overlay gives you the possibility to add more fields, not just the email. Change the submit button. Here you have the possibility to select if you want the leads also to be saved in our database or not. If you select not, then you better make sure that you have them backed up in your database, because we won't keep them, so you cannot ask us for them in case you lose them. Here is the integration part, how you would like to receive the leads, by email, through webhooks, or integration with these 4 tools, or through Zapier with any other tool that you wish. You have the possibility to, this particular overlay it's in 2 steps. At first, you enter your details, and then you receive a thank you message. So, for example, this is very useful when you want to give a coupon code, like a discount code for your users if they will leave their email, because you can enter here the message with the coupon code, and it will appear only after they add their email here. This can be, the thank you message can be disabled if you don't want it. Enable. Here is the creative name. You can show or hide the close button, the one here. Select an animation. And also you can set up delays to appear the overlay after a certain amount of seconds, or set up an auto close. This button here basically resets all the modifications you've made so far. What it does, it takes the overlay to the factory settings. And this button here opens up the code editor, where you can play around and modify elements as you like, and adjust it any way you wish. Back to design editor. We have toggle view here, and in order to change the text on the elements, as you see, they are getting highlighted with red. Once you click on a text, you'll see the menu up above will open. And also a hidden and interesting feature is the preview window, which will be triggered if you click on this button here. Basically, it opens up new tab with a custom link, and basically this is what happens. Yeah, and you can close it and whatever. Okay, so we can change it like 25% off, and you can change the text and so on. Once you've created your overlay, the interesting part in here is that you have the possibility to create an A/B test between your overlays, or between an overlay and the page without an overlay, doing so from here. Next, we select the audience. As you can see, it is very similar with A/B testing. This is the new design that we're working on to extend onto the entire platform. It is showing more elements that are more important. So you have the included URL pages, the links of the pages where you want to start where you want your experiment to show. Same conditions like URL is, ends, contains. Exclude URL pages where you want to exclude where you want your experiment not to be visible. Select the segment and advanced settings here. You have the limitation part here, amount of views that you want your experiment to stop upon reaching, the device type segmentation, and what we have as a plus here, we have the frequency. In here, you have the possibility to set up how many times the end user will see this overlay. It can be shown one time per lifetime, or every day, once per day, or one or more times per session, day, week, month, all time. For testing purposes only, or if you know your users are not annoyed, you can use every time option. Next, we have the traffic allocation and goals step, in which you can move the slider to set the amount of tested visitors that you want to include. Set up the percentage of allocated traffic between control and variation. In here, just want to raise an attention point is that if you'd like an experiment to show an overlay all the time and not to be an A/B test between two overlays or two variations of the same overlay or between an overlay and the control, please be careful to set the traffic 0 on control and 100% on variation. Below we have the goals with the goal timeout and the scheduling part, which is pretty similar as the last ones. Clear so far? You have questions? As I told you, once you get the flow of using audience, traffic allocation and goals, and scheduling, there are similar within all the features. This is what's making the tool user-friendly, and once you get the hang of it, it's very simple to use.
Okay, so I don't see any new questions coming in. Guys, do you have any questions?
Any questions so far regarding overlays? No?
It's super clear.
Glad to see that I've managed to keep it clear so far.
You're doing a fantastic job today, actually. Yes, there is one question I think we missed out. So Raul has a question. There is a Magento 2.0 new version coming as well. So would Omniconvert work along with it?
Sorry.
There is a Magento 2, the new version of Magento. And of course, Omniconvert works well with Magento, but does it work well with Magento 2 as well?
Yes, it works. Basically, it's nothing different. It's just the same tracking code that needs to be installed in the header of your Magento store. So there are limited. There are a few coding languages that we are still working to be compatible with, like Angular, or there are a couple of others. Basically, one page is websites, the ones that when you click, the link doesn't change. Basically, it's a page within a page, so dynamic pages like that. We are improving the platform to adjust to use the WYSIWYG editor onto them also. You can create an A/B test and use the code window under variation of an A/B test, but they have a small discrepancies within the WYSIWYG editor. If a pop-up wins on desktop but loses on mobile, we will know. Hi, Joe. Well, in order to find out that, we recommend you to use the segmentation and create two experiments, create two overlays experiments, one assigned only for your mobile users and one assigned only for your desktop users. In this way, you'll have a clear view on the reporting side of the experiment and see exactly what happened with the desktop versus mobile users. Based on the new Google rules. Be creative. Can you please elaborate? Can you please give more details? With pleasure, Jor. With pleasure. It's long, sorry, it's fine. If you are referring to SEO, if this is a question regarding SEO impact onto your website, if you are using Omniconvert, you all have to know that Omniconvert won't be seen by Google at any point in time. So A/B tests, overlays, and so on won't be indexed by Google. So it won't affect SEO, your SEO in any way. Okay, then be creative. If you'd like, we can take the discussion onto the email. So just drop us a line and we'll be more than glad to respond to it. Thanks. Okay, then moving on, I'm gonna continue with the survey. Our survey feature is pretty interesting. Basically, you have the possibility to select between pop-up survey and widget survey. The first thing that you need to do is set up the flow of questions that you have for your survey. The simplest and one of the most important surveys, and an example that we also have on our help environment. If you go here onto the help, onto the knowledge base, we have experiments ideas. We have 15 experiments ideas with which we recommend you to start. One of the examples that I'm going to show you today is a survey related to finding out why are your visitors leaving without buying. So, for example, one of the questions will be, have you found what you were searching for? Then you can select the answer type. In this case, I would like to be a unique choice answer type, but you have the possibility to select small text answer, multiple choices, images, drop-down scale, and the most important one, the Net Promoter Score, which this one helps you see, create a survey on the thank you page and interview your users to see exactly if the entire experience, the buying experience of your users is the one that makes them come back and buy more. So I'm going to choose the unique choice option and simply say yes and no. And as you can see, the unique choice radio option gives you the possibility to connect, to create a branching logic. You can connect the answer with a new action. You can set up to trigger an experiment, this answer to trigger an experiment. You can redirect the user to a new URL. You can go to the end of the screen or close the survey. Now I'm going to create the next question. You from purchasing. And for this particular question, I'm going to leave it to be an open answer. Then I'm going to create another question. Sure. and leave it the same, an open answer. Now, once I've created all the questions, I go back to the first question and edit it and connect the yes answer with what kept you from purchasing today and the no answer with could you please share a couple of more details, and save it. The way the questions are shown are from top to bottom. As you can see here, the numbers for each question, 1, 2, 3. So what I did is that once the user will answer to either of these with either of these two options, he'll be redirected to the second or the third question. Once he will be redirected to the second question, in order for him to not see the third one, I just edit the second question and go to advanced settings. And what happens after this question is answered, go to end screen. Save it. This option basically guides the user to not be able to see the third question and go to the thank you page of the survey. Now, why is this an important survey? It is pretty simple. So you have a lot of visitors that are coming onto your website, and a lot of them are bouncing. This is an on-exit survey that asks them 3 simple questions that are very powerful. For example, an e-commerce store has a high bounce rate. Users are coming in and answer, have you found what you are searching for today? With yes. Then go and tell you what kept them from purchasing today. And it can be like, I found what I was searching for, but the price is too high. I found what I was searching for, but I don't trust the shop. I found what I was searching for, but not in the color I wanted, but not in the size. I need more details. There are no clear pictures, and so on. A lot of details that basically it's a gold mine for you to adjust the experience of your users. Basically, they are telling you what to do in order to convince them with your website to purchase the products. If they will select no, sorry guys, if they will select no, you will find out more details about what they were searching for. So for example, if they were searching for a product which is not in stock anymore, and you see that you have a lot of customers that are searching for that product, you better make sure to find a supplier for that product and get it back in, because you are losing money. If they were searching for a product and didn't find it, and you know from the answers that you have that product, it means that you have a user guidance menu. Probably the menu is not clear enough to guide the user towards his product, or maybe you have a search problem. That particular product page hasn't been indexed too well, so the user, when he searches Gucci, or I don't know, whatever, an example, Gucci black shoes, it doesn't appear in the search. So this is why just a simple survey like this gives you a powerful insights regarding what exactly you should do next. And it also gives you powerful insights regarding what experiments to do next. For example, if people answer, have you found what you're searching for, and answer with yes, and give you onto the next question, what kept you for purchasing today? Give you answers like, the price is too high, and it's the same, price is too high, price is too high, price is too high, and you identify the product for which the price is too high, you can easily set up a discount for that particular product and see if and promote it like with a pop-up or something, and see how the sales increase over the next amount of weeks or days. Once the questions are done, we go to lead collector. Lead collector gives you the possibility to attach, as it says, a lead collector to your survey. So in case you are lead collecting business oriented and ask questions and want to continue talking to like an insurance company, for example, and you want to continue talking the sale offline by calling or emailing and so on, you can use this part here, and it can be easily integrated with the same tools that I've mentioned in the overlay, or receive the emails, receive the leads directly onto your email, or redirect them to your database through a webhook. Next, we have a design part where you can toggle through the tabs here and adjust the colors, font size, and so on. Here is the live preview screen of the survey. In here, you have the advanced CSS window where you can play and modify the survey any way you like. If you click here, you'll be redirected to the article, which shows you exactly what classes and IDs of elements we are using. So it's easier for you to modify and adjust the survey. Once you finish with the design, we go to the text tab. In here, we have the header optional for the entire survey, an intro message, and a thank you message. If you'd like the intro message page to stop being shown to your visitors and start directly with the first question, you simply just delete the text here. And as you can see under design, it will directly start with the first question. You have here the possibility to change the copy of the buttons, attach privacy policy, or use the GDPR consent. Next is the audience, pretty similar to the other features. The pages where you want your survey to appear, you can exclude pages, set up a segment of visitors, assign the percentage of visitors you want to be included in your survey, set up the frequency, and under advanced settings, we have the device type segmentation, limitation, and exclusivity option. On to scheduling, similar as the other features, you can set up a start and end date, exclude days or intervals or time zones. This is basically the survey. Any questions?
Okay, I don't see any major questions right now. Something that we are missing. And yeah, Joe, that's right. If used properly, this tool can entirely change the lifestyle.
Hi, Joe. Yeah, we're thinking about push notifications. I know it is a powerful tool these days. It started to grow into many websites, especially e-commerce stores. So we were thinking about it, and it is added onto our roadmap, and see where the road goes in the future. We are constantly trying to improve and add more features to Omniconvert, and also trying hard to keep it simple and manageable under same roof.
Yeah, like you have been mentioning that we'll need like more webinars to cover the robust tool. In fact, I have noticed that so we have not even gotten into like the advanced segmentation. I mean, like in deep for like multiple use cases, so on and on. I can figure out that there could be like the possibilities are limitless with Omniconvert's advanced segmentation.
The possibilities are indeed, just as I've mentioned, there are over 40 points of segmentation, and The idea behind it is to use it, especially when you have high traffic and you identify pain points within your analytics, because using it will filter down to the darkest corner of your traffic and won't leave too much on the table to test. So, for example, if you want to segment only the users that are coming from New York and are visiting your website, and they are having the cookie with lifetime value $200, and from the campaign that you ran last Wednesday on Facebook, it can be from 1,000 users, 100,000 users, filters only 5 of them, and then you cannot run an A/B test on only 5 users. Of course, that's not relevant for your business. But if you have high amount of traffic, and you know for sure that there's a segment that gives you, I don't know, about 20, 30, 40,000 users per month, you can use this advanced segmentation and filter it down and provide A/B testing only for that in order to improve conversions for that particular segment of users.
We have been like running beyond our schedule, and
yeah, I know. I've tried to keep it simple, but just a couple of more minutes, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Just want to pass through the 2 important add-ons that our tool uses for debugging purposes that will help you test and faster. And then we can continue with questions, and you can also ask us through chat box or email, and we will answer them along the way. Also, please check out our knowledge base. We made sure to create as explicit as we could articles on how to use the platform, and also the experiment ideas gives you a step-by-step walkthrough on how to implement them. So the 2 things that I still want to talk about are under the support center is the experiment debugger. This is an awesome add-on for your browser. Basically, you just need to click on this button here and drag it into your bookmarks bar, and it will appear that like this one here, which is the Omniconvert debugger. And what it does, basically, when you go onto the page where you set up an experiment to run, like, give me a second, omniconvert.com, yeah, and you click on it, make sure that you're logged into another tab into your Omniconvert account, otherwise you cannot use it for security purposes, so you cannot investigate your competitors to see what they are testing with Omniconvert. So when you click on the debugger, it will show you all the active experiments onto your website. As you can see, being an A/B testing tool, we sure test a lot. And on this page, if you have active experiments or applied experiments, it will be here with green, like applied. If not, and you know for sure that, for example, this particular A/B test should run on this page, when you click on it, it tells you exactly what's the problem. So, pages involved. This means that going back to my A/B test, when it's related to pages involved, going back to my A/B test, it means that I have an issue with the audience. So what I've entered here doesn't match what's here. Then you have scheduling, you have the device type. So basically, if you're targeting desktop users and you are targeting mobile users and you are checking it from desktop, for sure it won't show, and this will be seen here. You have the idea of the experiment, the title of the experiment, and so on. And this shows you, this is very helpful to identify if your experiment has been triggered and if you have landed on control or variation. This is another issue that happens at first. Basically, you create an A/B test and you forgot that the traffic allocation is set to be 50-50. And when you test it live, you don't see the modifications that you've made in the variation. And that's probably because you've landed on control. And once you've landed on one of these two, you land on the same part as long as you are being a user, because this is why we are a statistical tool. So we are keeping the same experience for the users in order to not modify the end result. So once the users have landed on control, every time they will come back on the same page, they will see only the control. So in order to avoid that, you can use a simple edit this cookie add-on for Chrome to clear your cookies and try to see when you land on the variation. Or the simplest way is to just go onto traffic allocation and goals, set up the traffic allocation to be 100% of variation, and this means that every time you check it out, you land on variation. So this is basically the debugger. It shows you if a goal has been triggered, if you have custom attributes that send data or have been read, on-page variables, any errors, and the complete log of what happened on this particular page. The second awesome tool that we have is the OmniTool extension. This is an extension that can be added into your browser here. And what it does, basically, it gives you the possibility to bypass our CDN cache. So as any tool out there, we are using a CDN cache in order to provide a seamless experience for you as an end user and for your website's users. So each modification that you make in an experiment, and each time you save it and publish it, normally it takes around 3 to 5 minutes until the modification goes to the CDN server and back to your website and gets applied because of the cache system. So in order to not wait 5 minutes until you can test your experiment on your IP and see the modifications, you can use this tool to bypass the cache. Once installed, basically, upon clicking publish on the experiment, you can open a new tab and visit the page and see the modifications you've applied. This is only valid for you as a customer, not for your end user. So if you are using the OmniTool extension, it will be beneficial only for you as an Omniconvert user. And this is basically it. Any questions?
That was like super detailed. Thank you so much, Sorin. I mean, I know that we like 1 hour. It's been like close to like 2 hours now. So yeah. So anyone, any questions? Please feel free to shoot it in the comments.
Yeah, it's been long. It's a powerful tool. We cannot have it simpler than that. But as I've mentioned, now you have a clear view of how the tool works and what you can do with it. The possibilities are endless, especially if you have like simple coding skills or if you have a developer around you. You can watch this webinar anytime or check out our YouTube channel. We have walkthroughs shorter there if you're time pressured and need to just have a glimpse on how to do it.
Perfect.
Otherwise,
And yes, the entire webinar, sorry to interrupt. So the entire webinar has been recorded. So yes, we will share the replay. I mean, given it's a longer webinar, it may take like a bit more time than usual. So I'll probably share the replay with you all probably in the next 3-4 hours from now. So when the replay is published, please feel free to shoot them in the comments as well. So yeah, that's there.
yes, we have a live chat. It's basically set up to go onto working hours, but if we are not available at that moment, you just write it down. We use intercom. I think everyone has heard of intercom. In my point of view, it's a powerful conversation and support tool. So once you write us down, as soon as we see it, or as soon as we are available, we respond back.
And the best way to do is to write to support at omniconvert.com. That way they can keep all the support questions organized. Say, for example, you may have a feature request, and if you're going to shoot it in the chat, some other support agent may look into it and they may miss it out. So it's always better to write to support at omniconvert.com. It's easier, it's faster for everyone.
Yeah. And once you purchase the lifetime deal, the chat box will be available onto your account also. Until then, support at Omniconvert works best. Okay,
Perfect.
if you don't have any other questions, guys,
we can wind this up. Yes. Okay, so thank you so much once again. So thank you so much for giving like super long detailed walkthrough. So here's exactly what I think that we all should be doing. Having learned like so much from this, we should start running some experiments and then come back with like a lot of questions, and then we can plan to organize the next webinar where we can discuss more about the use cases. We can try to identify the mistakes we have been doing in the experiments, and you can help us better that way. So it will be helpful for everyone who is a part of the webinar, just like this one.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Let's do that, fam. So in the next webinar, we'll have like super long, detailed one. Yeah, especially the way how we can increase our conversion rates is what our focus is going to be for the next webinar.
Ideas, case studies.
So thank you everyone for staying with us for like more than 2 hours. I sincerely thank you all.
So
thank you once again, Sarin. Cheers. See you all in the next webinar. Bye.
Thank you too. Cheers. Bye, guys. Have a good one.